You're listening to The Breakfast Show on Faith FM with Skafy and Lindsay. Today is April 1st. April's Fool. And you are listening here. I have Lindsay with me in the studio. We have producer Tish as well. And we have a specially themed quiz question for you. So please, producer Tish, what is the quiz question number one? Oh, number one of this segment.
Number one for this hour. Number three for today.
Okay, in the Bible, who would say something like this? Mum, these goat skins are sure to fool Dad. Who would say something like that? Mum, these goat skins are sure to fool Dad. Correct, we have one correct answer. And again, the Australian version of this name. If you think you know the name to someone who would say, Mum, these goat skins are sure to fool Dad in the Bible, please text us in on 0491 064 669 and let us know.
Got some sneaky business happening here today.
Yes, that's absolutely. Well, thank you for that one, producer Tish. And what are we going to be talking about today, Lindsay?
We are going to be talking about some, I guess, abuse of elderly people who are just... They need a bit more love in their life, honestly. So the story I have to share with you guys today comes from the UK. There's a 78-year-old widower who his wife has just passed away from cancer recently after like 50-odd years of them being married. And
it's devastating.
Now he's got a hole in his roof. Just to top it all off, like a literal hole in his roof. Have you ever had to deal with a hole in your roof? Actually, you were talking about one recently, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
How was your interactions with your tradie?
Yeah, so look, I've been having some, leaks in my roof going on. But then I found out there was nothing wrong with my roof itself, which, praise the Lord, because it would be like more tricky to fix. It was the air conditioning.
Oh.
The ducted air conditioning system.
It had nothing to do with the roof. It was just
not
the aircon dripping?
It's the aircon that's dripping, it's condensating. And I think I actually had some mice living there. So they chewed through the insulation and caused some havoc. So yeah, that's I think it's what's going on.
I definitely have mice in my ceiling and my walls. I hear them scurrying at night.
Oh, do you? I never hear anything. I'm not sure. Maybe they're not there anymore, but they definitely left a legacy of destruction and moisture.
I saw a little mouse in my backyard the other day, just like broad daylight bouncing around.
Bouncing around? Yeah,
I was
right.
like, what?
No, look, okay. Let's keep going this way. But I actually find these mice, yes, they are destructive. Yes, they carry diseases. But man, they are a little bit cute.
They are cute, and yeah,
I wish that we could be friends with them.
That's a whole other story I would want to talk about. But the story we're talking about here today is this guy called Mike Watkinson. He's 78. His wife has just passed away after 57 years of being married. And she's had a long battle with liver cancer, and now he's got a hole in his roof. So what do you do when you have a hole in your roof? You call up your local tradie, your roof repair guy, and you're like, hey, can you please come and help me fix my roof? And so the first set of roofers arrived, and they quoted him £250 for doing the work. And like,
okay, I mean, £250, that's not a lot.
It's not that bad
for like a hole in your roof. I think it's all right.
Yeah, it's probably a fairly standard amount, right? And so he said he felt pressured into accepting, and before he knew it, the bill rose to 8 times that amount.
What?
Yeah. What's 8 times 250?
Okay,
that's like £2,000.
1,600 plus 400, £2,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So that is a bit exorbitant. That's what, extortion at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this 78-year-old man who's just lost his wife to cancer. He's in a vulnerable position. He's at a vulnerable age and in a vulnerable emotional state.
Oh, can I tell you a story about that before you continue with that one? Because I've been almost a victim of such a scam.
Really?
Yes. My sink, the tap in the faucet. Like I have one of these faucets that have like a hose that extends, and you can press a button and it can move from shower to like a more consistent stream of water. I do not know if you have seen these before.
Yeah, I think so.
So that little head broke, and it was just basically leaking water everywhere. And I said, okay, let me just call a plumber because I'm not a handy person. So let me
Yeah.
just call a plumber.
Okay.
And they came up and said, yeah, you're going to have to replace the whole thing. It's going to cost you $1,000. I said, $1,000 seems too much.
Yeah.
I say, okay, thank you, but no thanks.
Yeah.
And I just left it there and so on. And then when one day I called another tradie and I mentioned to him that I had this problem, he says, mate, you might be able to buy the part that is broken off. Lo and behold, I went to Bunnings. I found that part for like $15.
Yeah.
It was just like a screw on and screw off and then on.
Yeah.
And boom, problem fixed. $15. They wanted to charge me $1,000. Man, I feel even like giving the name of that company so that
No,
nobody would
don't
ever
do
do
that.
that. But I'm not.
Look, I think it's always good
But
practice.
I'll tell you, it was one of these companies that fill your inbox with magnet
Advertising.
stickers. Yes.
Oh, okay. Right.
They wanted to charge me $1,000 for
Yeah.
a $15 job.
I feel like,
So I feel the pain of that man.
look, tradies make a really good living, and I think some of the less honest ones do so by, I guess, preying on people's ignorance. And it's important for us to not be ignorant and to not be, I guess, allowing ourselves to be in vulnerable situations when we can avoid it by educating ourselves. So, like, if I ever have a problem with stuff around the house, I just go to YouTube and I ask it questions like, how do you fix this? And if it's too hard, then I'll get a man friend who's like knows how to fix things a bit better than me. And if that doesn't work, then I might try to call someone
That's
professional.
a great process, actually.
Yeah,
That's a
like
great
just
process.
educate yourself as much as you possibly can. Google, YouTube, maybe even
There's
ChatGPT,
so much in the
like
University
whatever.
of YouTube. Yes.
Yeah, YouTube. There's like, I think there's a YouTube channel where there's like a guy who I've forgotten what he calls himself, but he's like everybody's spare dad or something. He just like teaches like young people how to fix
stuff.
things in their car, like
Yeah.
the basic stuff that dad should teach their kids, sort of thing.
Love it. That's great. You have to give me that YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't know if I know exactly which one it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, but there's a few of them.
There are
Yeah.
people out there who are like, hey, let me give you a
Shout out
tutorial.
to these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good Samaritans of the interwebs.
Yeah, and look, maybe the 78-year-old man wasn't so familiar with the interwebs, but he was certainly in a vulnerable situation, and people were taking advantage of him. So not only did they quote him 8 times more and like pressure him into paying 8 times more than what was a reasonable
At least
price.
they fixed the job, the roof for him.
No,
Surely.
they took the money and they did maybe a quarter of the work, and then they left and never came back.
What?
Yeah. So they overcharged him times 8, and then they only did a quarter of the work. That
This
is
an-
absolute
this is
abuse
shocking.
of
Yeah.
the situation, right? And so there was another tradesman called Denny Malia. He found out, and he rushed over with his team and offered to do the work for free for this old man.
What?
Yeah, he's like, that
Amazing.
is absolutely disgusting and appalling behavior. Even though you've been way overcharged and I'm not expecting you to pay any money further from this, then
Praise the
I'm just
Lord.
going to do it. And not only that, but like the original team who had come and overcharged times 8, they said that they would come and finish the work if he paid another £1,200.
What's the chance of that actually happening?
Yeah, no, there's not.
Zero.
And so
Just
this
scammers on wheels.
the second guy, the second tradesman who he and his team were actually helping him, he was like, nah, if you ever hear from those guys again, call the police, because that's what needs to happen next with those guys. They're completely out of line. But I just think it's so great that even though Danny, who was the second tradesman, he and his team, they helped out this poor man who was stuck in this situation and completely taken advantage of. I love the fact that they just went out of their way to help in a situation that had nothing to do with them. And that reminds me of the grace of God. Like, Jesus came and died for our sins that he had nothing to do with. Do you know the passage that I'm thinking of? It goes along the lines of Jesus was, he took our sins in which he had no part, and he was abused, and he was whipped.
Isaiah 53.
Isaiah 53. Let's go there.
Okay, I'm here, right here with me.
All right, read
It
it out
says
for us,
he was
please.
crushed for but he was pierced through for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The chastening for our well-being fell upon him, and by his scourging we are healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's such a beautiful passage. I love that one so much. It's one of my very favorite ones. Jesus took our sin and our weakness and our vulnerability and the things that we've gotten ourselves into, as well as the things that like are beyond our control. He's taken all of that upon himself to give us a way out, to fix the situation for us. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to leave the glories of heaven. He didn't have to leave the presence of the Father. He didn't have to leave the constant adoration of the angels singing holy, holy, holy forever and ever. But he chose to come into human flesh as a baby in poverty in a third world country 2,000 years ago, be abused, be called names, be beaten and whipped, and ultimately died on the cross for us to pay for our sins in which he had no share. Isn't that beautiful?
It is amazing. Look, that story, I love it how you brought it, because what that this other tradie did for this man, this is the gospel.
Yeah.
This is the gospel. So look, you know what?
It's a little glimpse of the gospel.
I'm bearing your griefs on me, so I can actually give you joy. And that's exactly what Jesus done. Like, what a great story! What an amazing feel-good story. And I actually want to ask you, radio friend, now, have any bad or good, perhaps, stories with tradies either ripping you off or just going above and beyond? Let us know. 0491 064 669. Tell us your story. Have you ever been quoted a tremendous amount of money for a job that was super simple to do, and you think that you had the impression that people were banking on perhaps your vulnerability or your ignorance? Well, let us know here, 0491 064 669, or the opposite. I have definitely seen cases like you said, Lindsay, of tradies that said, you know what, I'm going to fix this for free because what has been done to you, this is absolutely unimaginable. I'm going to absorb these the costs, these prices on myself, but I'm going to do some justice here. You know what? God blesses that.
Yeah.
The Bible says that God takes care of those who take care of others.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is very true.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Well, we are going to move on now to the song by Chris Rupp with Blessed Assurance. In the meantime, our giveaway today is the book Prophets and Kings. Prophets and Kings is a book that is going to take you on a journey from the times of King David all the way to the prophet Malachi, and all of these difficult passages of the Bible, they are going to be made plain for you before your very own eyes. So text us here, hashtag prophets, to 0491 064 669.
We also have a commenter just sent in the YouTube channel for the guy who is the dad on YouTube who teaches
Katya.
people
Appreciate
like
that.
as if they're his own children how to do basic, manual stuff. So Katya, thank you so much for that.
Thank
if anyone wants to get a hold of that, we have somebody who's provided the link for us. Thank you.
You know what I wanted that YouTube channel? I'll tell
Why?
you. I actually
You need
wanted
to learn things.
Oh no, look, I do need to learn things, but I actually wanted to watch the video, learn things, and then be that dad to my kids.
Yes. And what
And
about
show
other
them-
kids
other kids as well
in your
Just
life
it's
as
a
these
ministry.
go on? Yeah.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And now it's time for a quiz answer. Please, Tish.
Yeah, it is. And so our question, just to recap, or saying from someone whose mum, these goatskins are sure to fool dad. And that was Jacob. Jacob and Rachel? Rebecca. Sorry, wrong name.
Yeah,
Rebecca.
he married a Rachel. His mum was Rebecca.
I got that very wrongly messed
That's
up.
okay.
And we had some people text in with Jacob, and we had one person text in with Skafy's answer, actually.
Oh, really? Jake. Good old Jake. All right. Well, thank you very much, Producer Tish. All right, Lindsay, let's talk about a few things that people are talking about.
What are we
Just real
talking
quick.
about?
Yeah, just like I wanted to do a little rundown of what's happening, going on. So it looks like fuel prices are going to come down at least a little bit because the federal government said that they're going to have the fuel excise.
Yeah, we were chatting a bit about that yesterday with Livo. He was telling us all about the excise yesterday.
Oh, no, yeah, Libby's a good guy to talk about all these things.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The second thing, do you know who Desi Freeman is? Have you heard about him?
No.
Oh, you've been living, under a rock or something.
yeah,
What about you,
usually.
Producer Tish? Do you know who Desi Freeman is? We spoke about him in the beginning.
yeah.
Yes, right? So Desi Freeman was a guy that allegedly shot 2 police cops and killed them in Victoria, in Parapunka. It's a
When?
beautiful town next
Where?
to the Alps there in Victoria.
Okay.
That was in, I believe, August last year.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and then he has been on the run ever since.
Right.
The thing is, like, the whole Victoria police was mobilized to try to find him, like thousands of agents. But he was a prepper, and he was a bushmaster, so he knew those bushlands better than
So
anyone.
we have like a modern day bush ranger.
Yeah,
We've got a Ned Kelly on our
kind
hands.
of. People don't want to keep to, people are hoping that
Well,
he's
Ned
not going to
Kelly
be
is kind of like
associated, but
like
yeah.
a weird hero in Australian culture, but
And everybody thought, like, nobody knew what happened to him. A lot of people actually thought that he was dead already, even
Sure.
his own family.
Okay.
And he's kind of famous because he was part of a movement that is known not by those in the movement, by those the outside. It's a bit of a pejorative sort of name that they gave. It's called Sovereign Citizen.
oh yes, I've heard of these.
Have you heard sovereign? Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's a bit of that sovereign citizen movement. So that's
Right.
So here at the breakfast show last year, Lawson and I, when Lawson was here, we spoke at length about the sovereign citizenship movement and all these kinds of things. I think on Monday, he was found by the police. Someone tipped him off. He was hiding in a container in someone's property. Apparently, the owner of the property did not know this, so he kind of broke through and just found his way there while pending further investigations. But the police found him. They had a confrontation there, and he was shot dead.
Oh, okay.
Yes, after 9 months of relentless search. Actually, I thought that they had already even given up the search because at that time he was crossing like 180 kilometers of really rugged terrain and having all eyes on him. So that's something that happened. Don't want to dwell on that topic too much, but one thing that I think of is that, look, the Bible does tell us to obey and respect the authorities as ones that we have to witness to. And I think that one of the problems that I found with Desi's story is that he basically made the police cops to be Satan, pretty much, and the big enemy that needs to be defeated, and even defeated by fire. Mm-hmm. He claimed to be a Christian, and look, who am I to judge anyone's faith and so on? So, but at the same time, I can judge people's actions by the Bible, and the Bible does say never says to revile or to antagonize authorities. Even if they have to put you in jail for no reason, like the Apostle Peter and so on, you have never seen. Actually, the one time that Apostle Peter had such an idea of using a sword to defend himself against
Jesus, like, no,
just
don't.
as this is not how we roll, Peter.
Yeah, let me put that ear back on.
So, look, in this world we will have troubles. In this world we will have people persecuting.
And Paul
us.
even says that, respect the people in authority because God has put them in that place because he's like, they're doing God's work in keeping order in society.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Authorities are ordained by God. No,
Even
but there
if they
might
don't
be bad
believe in
authorities.
God, like they have a part to play in the way that God has structured the world.
Oh, but Skafy, what if they are asking me to do something that goes against the law of God, and they're making me sin? Look, you just don't sin, just refuse to do so, but don't retaliate.
Yeah,
that's the essence of the
don't
message.
antagonize, don't retaliate, don't speak badly of them. I know some people who speak quite badly and use, I guess, slurs against cops and use different words to refer to them. That's not appropriate either. Yeah,
honor the king. The Bible says honor authorities, and so there you go. So that's one big news that I think that everybody was talking about. I just wanted to briefly touch, but actually what I wanted to share with you, I wanted to do a bit of an AI update because I have 2 interesting AI related news, one good one and one not so good. Okay.
Right,
so again, my point with AI is it can be used for good. It's a tool. It can be used for good, or it can be misused or used for bad. And often it's much easier to misuse a tool than to use it properly. But here I think it's an example of how it was used properly. It's the story of, it's actually a feel-good story. It's a story, it started with this man called Sid Sigebrandij.
Alrighty.
He's a guy that built a website called GitLab.
GitLabs.
He started with as a scrappy side project, and he became a multi-billion-dollar giant.
Righty.
Okay, so basically it's like a platform where people use to develop software. Okay. So in 2022, he gets diagnosed with a rare aggressive bone cancer called osteosarcoma, super aggressive.
Okay.
And standard treatments like chemo, surgery, it knocked it back for a while, but then it came roaring back all the time. So doctors basically said, look, standard care is done. Sorry, good luck. Most people would just accept that, but not see it. So in late 2024, he steps down as the GitLab CEO and he goes full founder mode on his own body.
Okay.
So he builds a 1,000-page personal health handbook, runs every cutting-edge diagnostic test available, scans, full genome sequencing, blood work, you name it, and also open sources a staggering 25 terabytes of his raw medical data so the whole world could learn from it. So all of these images, everything that he's doing, he was just like putting it online in public so that people could use it to research.
That's cool.
Right? So this is where the AI story kicks in. He feeds everything into ChatGPT and other AI tools, and then it helps him to spot patterns in his data, generate treatment hypotheses, research repurposed drugs, and even coordinate a SWAT team of specialists working in parallel instead of one failed treatment at a time. So he flies to Germany for an experimental radioligand therapy. He files his own FDA applications in the United States, and he designs his own personal protocols that no hospital had ever tried.
Okay.
Okay?
This is starting to remind me of the dog.
It's very similar to the dog and the tumor story. The result, as of right now, his cancer is undetectable. Complete remission. And he has already started 8 new oncology companies to help other patients to do the same thing.
Wow. This is really disrupting the industry, is I think what they call it.
Yeah. So I think this is absolutely fascinating. So this is the good AI story today.
And what's the bad one?
Now you want to hear the bad one?
Good news. Now it's time for bad news.
So Anthropic,
Okay.
Anthropic, which is one of the world's greatest and, people would say even more secure-leaning AI in companies. Anthropic, the ones that the parents of Claude, and which is a really fantastic model for coding and everything. They leaked, or maybe was accidentally released, nobody knows, a secret model called Mythos. Mythos. And it's an AI that could literally break the internet. So last week, a data leak from Anthropic, the company behind the ultra-safe Claude AI models, accidentally exposed a draft blog post about their newest creation, Claude Mythos. It's not just another upgrade. No. Internal docs call it a step change in power, by far their most advanced model ever, crushing benchmarks in coding, academic reasoning, and cyber security. So this is the red flag here. Anthropic themselves warn it poses unprecedented cybersecurity risks. Basically, the AI is so powerful that it can hack pretty much any system at a pace that no cybersecurity specialists can cope with and keep up with.
Radio.
So basically, they develop a monster of an AI system that can just, if being used wrongly, can just basically hack pretty much any system at record speed.
Wow, and I imagine that there are plenty of people out there who want to use it wrongly.
Oh, yes, you bet there will be. So Wall Street noticed that.
And they have the money to bribe it.
Cybersecurity stocks. Listen to this. Cybersecurity stocks in the American exchange companies, they took a hit the day after the leak because everyone suddenly realized that the next wave of hacks could be autonomous, lightning fast, and devastating. So there you go, the two sides of the same coin. AI giving ordinary people superpowers to fight disease, and AI that might give bad actors superpowers to attack our digital world.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we should just all go analog.
Let's just go back to analog.
Print off everything you need, keep it in a safe, and just get off the internet.
When it comes to AI, I understand why a lot of people are pushing back. Look, there are people's jobs being replaced. Some of the AI advocates are saying, hey, no, but look, they're going to be replaced, but AI is going to generate a lot of new jobs. You know what? I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that.
They're making a world that's not reliant on humans next.
Yeah. And again, if it could be used for good, fantastic. But if it can be used to be abused, and I think that's where almost often technology also leads to.
Yep.
I think this is very disruptive, particularly for the book of Revelation, chapter 13. We see a worldwide persecution against people who want to keep God's commandments. How are they going to find out who these people are? Well, there's many ways, but now AI can be one of them. I was talking to my friend in North Korea. North Korea has been the first country that we know of that is using AI technology to track down Christians in their country so that they can be
that we know
punished.
Of. Yeah.
Yeah. That we know of. That's right. And I think that this can very easily become the norm. So look, what do I do with this? Skafy, should we panic? Should we, be running from left to right with our hands hanging in the air? I would say no. We just trust in God. We seek Him day by day. We ask God to help us to find out what is the good work that He has for that day. Trust in Him, live one day at a time, and let God do His thing. We do know that Jesus is coming soon. I believe so with all of my heart. And when we see the technology, the advance of technology and other things that are going on around the world, I think that we are closer to the return of Jesus than ever.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And our interview today is with our friend Casper Carstensen. He's returning to our studio for the third time now to share one more testimony about one of his incredible experiences with God. So, Casper, good morning to you. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. It's great to have you on board today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joseph. Excited to be back.
Casper, I wanted to talk to you about a story that you once shared with me. A story of deliverance, a story where God Himself, I believe, saved you from an extreme danger. And it has to do with dogs. Can you tell me a little bit about what happened? Where were you? What were you doing? And what happened?
Yeah, so I found myself to be in Romania. And I was out in the morning going for a hike. I needed some exercise. I needed to spend some time. And I just found this incredible walking trail. And to my surprise, I found this very nice looking farm. And next to the farm, there was a sheepfold. And you had just these hundreds of sheep all packed together. And it was my favorite type of sheep, the one with black faces, very nice wool, very cuddly, and I was just standing there and just looking how beautiful it was. You had these beautiful mountains in the background, all blue sky. It was such an incredible, warm, beautiful day. I was just admiring it and thinking, thank you, God, for this incredible, beautiful scenery. And just before I was about to take up my phone, I heard something running towards me. This was a pack of shepherd's dog. This is a very big breed I think it's called Armenian Gamper. You can try and find it up, find a photo, and you'll see this is a very, very big puppy. They are vicious. They're literally trained to fight wildlife like bears, like wolves. They're very, very strong dogs, and they're very, very loyal, and they're very, very protective of the pack, being in this case the sheep's.
Wow. So these massive dogs are, running at you, and they pretty much look like lions. I have seen some of these dogs before online in some pictures. And I think that as far as shepherd dogs go, I probably think that they are among the biggest that they are. They are incredibly strong animals. So how many dogs did you see that were running towards you, and they were just wanting to chase you away and to bark at you? But was there anyone nearby, perhaps their owners? What was the context there for the dogs?
Well, I was completely alone, just out there completely by myself. And I didn't have time to count. I was, of course, in a very state of mind, being attacked, being very afraid. There were about 8, maybe 12 dogs, and they didn't just want to scare me. They literally surrounded me, and the intensity of the barking started to be more vicious and more loud. They started to show their teeth, and they also started to bite me. So I was bitten 6 times, and as I saw blood literally pouring down my leg, I had one thought, and that was, I have to fight. I have to punch my way throughout these crazy puppies. And then a millisecond after, it was like this impression came to my mind: pray, surrender this to God. And immediately I literally cried out, Jesus, save me, in a very desperate voice. And in that second, Joseph, in that very second, God slowly pulled away the dogs from me. They stopped biting me, they stopped barking, and they started to give me more space. I was completely surrounded by them. They're so close to me. And all of a sudden, I got more and more space. And a few minutes later, 2 shepherds came running towards me, screaming at me in Romanian. And I'm going to explain the intensity of this story just in a little bit, but I want to share a little bit about the power of prayer, because in my experience here and many of my past experiences, unfortunately I don't have time to share my entire testimony here. This will take about maybe 2 hours, but there's a beautiful passage from the Bible I want to read, and we find this in Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 10. Proverbs 18:10 say, "The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe." And this was literally, Joseph, my experience. As I prayed, I put myself on God's ground. I became part of His domain. He took this fortress, this tower of protection around me, so that the enemy could not do any harm to me, because I had asked God to protect me, and He was faithful, and He did that in that very second.
Wow. And what did the Romanian shepherds tell you? I mean, probably couldn't understand. I do not know if they would speak English or Danish, because you're from Denmark, right?
Yeah.
But what do you think that they were trying to communicate? And were they able to finally secure the dogs after this whole situation?
Yeah, I had one to translate for me. And what the shepherd said was, he came out of nowhere, and also they couldn't understand that the gate was open. Because everything should have been locked. The dogs should not have been able to run out from the facility. So they were all very, very surprised, and they knew exactly how dangerous my situation was. This was why they were running as quickly as they could. Because when dogs are being agitated, no one can separate them from the prey and from the dogs, except for the shepherds, except for the owner. And so the reason because they were running so quickly was they knew that if they would not manage to be there on time, I would be dead. So I've been trying to give Bible studies to a good friend of mine. I started to train him as a personal trainer, and we started to talk. And he's a private bodyguard. He has a massive trained Rottweiler. He has been working for the police. He has been doing different mission and activities with the Danish military, because he is such an incredible dog trainer. He knows everything about dogs and how to train them. And as I came home, I shared this testimony with him, and his jaw literally dropped. Like, he was like, "Kasper, this does not make any sense. Nobody can separate you, because the dogs, they would be protective of the flock. They would see you as prey. They would literally see you as a vicious bear, and they would kill you. They would like shatter you to pieces until they knew that you no longer would be a threat for the pack." So he said the only one who can separate you would be their owner. And even the owner would have difficulties when they're so aggressive, particularly when they have started to taste blood and when they started to bite the first time.
Wow.
So what he told me afterward was, this, Kasper, is what we do. If we have an angry mob, a riot, then the leader of the group, or the police or the military, he will agitate his dog or her dog, and this dog will be agitated, and that will literally spread like wildfire to the rest of the dogs. Now they become aggressive, and this is where they start to bite and show teeth and become very aggressive, and it's very difficult to hold them. You have to have like very good training. You have to have like very strong shoulders to be able to hold fast your dog, and you don't want to let go of that leash unless you really have to.
Wow, that's amazing. They really become, vicious creatures, in that moment, that circumstance. And Casper, look, when I am hearing your story, this is not the first time that I heard, but there's a Bible passage that comes to my mind every time that I listen to that story. And it is a Bible passage in one of the most fascinating Psalms in the Bible, which is Psalm 22. Psalm 22 is very special because it's a messianic psalm. It's one of the psalms that are dealing almost exclusively with the experience of Jesus, the Messiah, 1,000 years before it happened. And your story, I think, relates a lot to that story. I think that this experience you went through, I think that it's very similar to what Jesus experienced as well. So you can say that Jesus knows exactly what you have been through. And I will start in verse 10. And it says, "Upon you I was cast from birth. You have been my God from my mother's womb." So he starts acknowledging God's presence in his life since he was a child, similar to in your own experience. And then there's a prayer for help. Verse 11 says, "Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help, like yourself. Many bulls have surrounded me. Strong bulls of Bashan have encircled me." We're talking about like wild bulls, similar to Cape bulls in Africa. These beasts you don't mess up with them. Lions don't mess up with them. We're talking about like 2,000, 3,000 kilogram creatures that have nothing but, when they decide to be bent on attack, they're vicious. And it says that he's been encircled by them. Now, of course, in your case, you're not encircled by bulls, but by dogs that look like bulls pretty much. And they say here, "They open wide their mouth at me as a ravening and roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue cleaves to my jaws. And you lay me in the dust of death." Like you're experiencing, look, you basically thought, like, I'm done. And then verse 16, "For dogs have surrounded me. A band of evildoers has encompassed me. They pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones." And then in verse 19 it would say, "But you, O Lord, be not far off. You my help, hasten to my assistance. Deliver me from the sword, the only life from the power of the dog. Save me from the lion's mouth, from the horns of the wild oxen. You answer me." And because of that, the psalmist did exactly what you're doing, because in verse 22 it says, "And I will tell of your name to my brethren. In the midst of the assembly, I will praise you."
Oh, beautiful.
Isn't that story so similar to what you have experienced? Being surrounded, feeling helpless, trusting in God before, asking God for help in the middle, and being delivered by God at the end. So I find it fascinating that you were able to experience a feeling and emotion that the Messiah himself was experienced. Of course, he was being surrounded by dogs in the sense of by heathen, by pagan people, by unclean human beings, evildoers. But it is a similar feeling of being circled by wild animals. And in your case, by vicious, aggressive shepherd dogs trying to protect their flock. So, Casper, we have just, this 1 minute left. Is there any final words that you would like to share that can encourage someone that perhaps it's going to or will go to a similar experience?
Yeah, thank you for that question. As I was going through this, I was very afraid. I was very anxious. I was panicking. I was not behaving rationally because I was literally afraid of my life. But as I prayed, that was when I felt this incredible peace, and I saw God was moving. He was literally saving my life. So my encouragement is, if this is something you can see yourself in, if you see yourself in this story where you feel distant or you have this massive attack, allow God to work in you. And just like I read in Proverbs 18:10, allow God to be your fortress. The name of the Lord is a strong tower, the righteous run into it and are safe. So as I prayed, that was when I felt this incredible feeling of love, of protection, of God's care and God's watchman. And I saw that in that experience. And from being anxious, I felt completely at peace and calm because I knew God had won this battle for me. Just like he promised he will do for all of us in Exodus 14:14. Here we read, "The Lord will fight for you and you shall hold your peace." Just like I did, I couldn't fight anything. I had to give the battle to God, and he delivered me from the dogs, from my adversity.
Casper, what a story. We're so glad that you are alive and in one piece, and we're so glad as well that God was able to save you from this absolutely horrible threat even to your life. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us, that story of God's faithfulness and that story of deliverance. I'm sure that it is going to be able to encourage a lot of people in their journey. That was the story of Casper. Yeah, it was a pre-recorded interview, as you probably have seen. Casper was here with us about last month or so, and he had some amazing stories. That one about him being delivered by this fierce dog attack, this is an amazing story. And thank you so much for listening to that one.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.